I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 12. At the beginning, I managed it really well, and then later on, I struggled with blood sugar levels and anxiety and found it quite hard to control. Skip 22 years later, and we went through the adoption process with our little girl, which was quite a stressful year, doing all the paperwork and courses for it. And then we finally got the call to go up to the hospital to meet our 3-day-old baby. We spent 3 weeks in hospital with her, and I felt unwell, and I did, before we went every day I'd be sick, and I just put it down to anxiety, and this was quite a big thing we were taking on, so just kind of bypassed it. And then we'd been home with her about 3 days, and I'd still kept being sick, a bit more this time sort of throughout the day. But again, just put it down to lack of sleep and everything. And then there was one day I was bedridden and just kept being sick. So we rang the doctor, who said, because of diabetes, we need you to come in to hospital. So that was really hard. It was through COVID, so my husband couldn't come. Also, because we'd just adopted our baby, no one could come and help him. So I left him and the newborn baby, went into hospital, and actually was in hospital for a week. On the last day, they came to the bed and said I had kidney failure and I would need to start dialysis straight away. So I just broke down in tears, never really heard of dialysis or what it was. They said then that you'd need a transplant for a kidney. Never heard of that really, or thought about it. So that time was all a bit of a blur, because it was went to hospital, had my dialysis tube fitted, started dialysis straight away. So being away from home 3 nights a week for at least 5 hours was quite tough. And then I had a meeting with doctors after about 6 months at dialysis, who said, we're going to put you in for a double transplant, a kidney and pancreas. Because they said if they just did the kidney, my diabetes as it was would kill the kidney. So that was quite a scary time, thinking of a double transplant. I went on the transplant list on the 29th of December 21. And then almost a year later, I got the call on Christmas Eve to say I had a donor and could I make my way to the hospital. So luckily everyone was home for Christmas, so I managed to leave my little girl with everybody, and we opened a couple of presents Christmas Eve morning. Said goodbye to her, which was very emotional. Made our way to Addenbrooke's. And all the way there just kept thinking of the donor, thinking, it's Christmas Eve, what's happened to the donor? And found that quite sad. Got to the hospital and just had this really overwhelming feeling, but just felt very calm that this amazing thing was about to happen. Felt so grateful that someone had donated. And then I was at the hospital Christmas Eve. Brett left after about half an hour because he couldn't stay. And it was at, I think about 11 o'clock that night, I went down to surgery and they operated through the night. And I woke up Christmas Day just feeling amazing. Just this whole sense of, I don't even know what the feeling was, just felt so well. And I remember actually checking my sugar levels and thinking, oh my goodness, they're actually normal. And I checked them all day and they just stayed the same number all day. And I sent it to my husband and he said that's what made him cry the most. And then you sort of lay there and just, you do think about the donor and how wonderful they were, and such a magical gift, and especially at Christmas was just even more amazing really. So I will just forever be grateful. After the donation, just made such a difference to my life because I just have so much more energy. I'm not tired. I can do so much more with my baby. And it's just wonderful.